didn't actually know. So as everyone knows, it happened on the intern show. And when I came in the next day and Howard played it on the show, and I remember the biggest fan of that entire thing was Artie Lange. He went nuts for it. But it was very weird to me because as much as that's when he was like, she's radio gold, I wasn't used to, and I'm still not, and I think this was one of the reasons also why I was just okay getting out of the industry. There are a lot of really shitty people out there who just want to bring you down and make you feel bad. And you really have to be strong to be able to put up with that stuff. And it was tough for me at first. Like, I really didn't like it, but I guess they had the conversation. They decided they wanted me to try happy hour, which I did. And it just kept going. And I was like, I don't want to put up with this shit. Not only do I feel like I'm saying things that I wouldn't normally say, and I'm taking down people that I normally wouldn't take down for what? And then I'm getting berated by people I don't even know for the same reason. I'm like, I don't want to do this. So after the Gary one, well, that was pretty bad. Gary didn't talk to me for like 3 months after that. It was really bad. I was like, this just isn't worth it. I mean, it amazes me that I'm gone for 7 years and there are still people out there that are total shitheads that feel like they have to say something negative to me. Like, I moved on. Maybe you should move on too. And maybe you should try some therapy. I don't know. That's all I'm going to say.
But it is hilarious stuff. I mean, not the things that people say to you, but the things you said. As I told you in our pre-interview, I still walk around the house going to my wife, douche. She's like, stop, just stop. But it's funny. But you mentioned the Gary thing. How hard was that? Because, you guys are tight and you have to work together. And now you're on a radio show and this is exactly what Howard wanted, right? So now you're trying to play.
What Howard wanted, but at the same time, I don't feel that I said anything that the Howard TV guys didn't say, like when they caught him sleeping in the office. Those were the things I brought up. And anything that I said was true. If there's one thing anyone who knows me knows about me is I am a straight shooter. I will tell you like it is. I don't sugarcoat shit, and it is what it is. Maybe he didn't like my delivery. Maybe it's, I don't know, because I wasn't a Scott DePace or a Doug Goodstein. He just took it a little harder when it came from me. But if I'm telling the truth and you don't like it, maybe you should look at the truth and not me, Well,
and you even said in this, and I'm sure, to me, thinking about like the world today, it was a boys' club, right? And you're this Spitfire, you're not going to take any shit. And I think, and I don't think Gary liked that. But how hard was that? I mean, you really were one of the. Robin was a staunch female, but she's on the air, and it's totally different. Back in that room, I can't imagine. There's a lot of women back there giving it to Gary, and that's I think why it was. It was probably shocking to him that you were doing that, but also probably hurtful because he thinks everybody loves him. He needs everybody to love him, right?
Oh, don't get it twisted, though. I actually do love Gary, and I still to this day love Gary. He was always good to me. He was always sweet to me. I did something because I thought I was supposed to do it. Would I have done it in any other day or even thought about the things that I brought up on that show had I not really kind of been asked to? No, absolutely not. You got to know your place. I mean, and I think in any other work environment, you do know your place. But here, it's so different. Like there, it was so different that you're expected to do things or to be a certain way. And I think it just gets the best of you a little bit. And you kind of just roll with what you think you're supposed to do, even if it's not something that you would normally do. I don't know if I'm describing it right. I don't know.
No, that's good. And that's what I was going to say is, did you ever say, listen to Tim or to Gary, whoever, just, I don't really want to be on the air anymore. This was, I know it was kind of fun for you guys, but I don't need that anymore. Did that ever come up? And did they?
No, I did it in the studio with Howard. We had that conversation after the fight with Gary. Oh, hi, little dog.
Sparky, yeah.
I'm sorry. I get, I'm all doggy. After the second show, when I went in there and Gary and I had it out on the show, we decided that maybe this wasn't the best thing. And then, if you remember, I can't remember what the name of the show was, but Will, Jason, and Teddy did a similar show where they started to talk about everyone in the studio. And again, it led to the same problems. It led to the fights, which is great radio, but it became toxic in the office. Nobody wanted to talk to each other. Nobody trusted each other. And that didn't last that long either. I mean, this is one part of the show. This is one part of your job. So this is an hour. For the other 7 hours, now you hate everybody. Nobody wants to work like that.
I can't imagine it, actually. I mean, you ball bust, but then it's on the air and everyone else knows about it. That's why it's always interesting to me that and then Howard's kind of conducting it over here, enjoying it. He's like
Absolutely.
turning.
It's like you sit there and it's like I remember I took Steve Brandano to go see the premiere for Iron Man. And I remember I was sitting on the bus coming into work and I had my little stiletto that I had gotten for Christmas, listening to the show. And Howard started to get angry. How come you've seen Iron Man and I haven't seen Iron Man? It was this whole big to-do and I freaked out so bad. And it's like you're constantly on guard because you constantly think something's going to get up, you're going to get in trouble, or something's going to make you get berated on air. And it's like I'm not having a conversation with 4 of my coworkers. I'm having a conversation with 25 million people. And it's creepy. I mean, it's creepy. And you're constantly on edge with everything you do because you never know what's going to come back in a good light, a bad light. And it's intense. It's intense.
But Benji is legitimately disgusting, right? Still, even today.
I don't even. Listen, I left that little bitch to do nothing but bark at me because he couldn't come to a comeback. So.
And he was the writer, and you would smoke him.
Yeah. And what does that say?
You mentioned Artie. I mean, he's super talented. Everyone knows it. But to get his impression of you, I mean, there's a person doing an impression of you. Did you love that? I mean, his impression was so great.
I loved it only because it was Artie. Because I love Artie. I've always loved Artie. Artie has always, and like I said, like even after everything went down and I was so uncomfortable and people were attacking me, and some weren't attacking me, some were really great about it. Artie was the one that I would go to when I had trouble with it, when I couldn't really grasp what was going on. Because before that, I was just the chick in the back office, and all of a sudden, and he would always be like, Tracey, don't worry about it. Like he would always just, and every once in a while I would even text him and he would just be like, you're gold. Like, fuck them. Don't worry about it. They're not your problem. Just ignore them. And he was really a good support. I don't even think he knows how much of a support he was.
How tough was that for you when he had his issues and then ultimately had to leave completely?
It was a bummer. It was a real bummer because he truly is one of the nicest, most generous people I've ever met in my entire life. And you never want to see somebody go down that path, but especially somebody who is so giving and nurturing and caring and just an all-around good person. And it broke my heart. It still breaks my heart to this day. Even like, you know, for everything that he's gone through and everything that went on with his nose. And like, I follow him on social media, and to see him now as to what I knew him at when I first got there, it's torturous. I mean, it's really torturous because he's just a doll.
Well, we hope he's doing well. I'm assuming, I always ask everyone, how's Artie if you talk to him? I'm assuming you are not in contact with Mr. Lange.
No.
That's too bad.
I think I reached out to him maybe 3 or 4 years ago on social media, but like in a DM, but that was it.
It's funny that because when I hear these conversations, I think of other things people have said, and everyone obviously has just glowing things to say about Artie. So the more I think about the fact that he did get to sleep or he would call in sick, if he was an asshole, you could just get rid of him. But it's impossible because he's such a good dude, and he's great on the show. So yeah. I'm starting to understand more that it was incredibly hard to just say, Artie, you can't come back anymore.
Yeah, it was a bummer. I mean, I don't even know how to elaborate on it. It was bad. I think the hardest thing I ever saw, though, was the day that he got into that big fight with Teddy. And you can even see in the video me coming up the hall, because Teddy and I were very good friends at the time. Just took Teddy out of the building. We walked around for a while, but I never saw like 4 to 5 men trying to hold back one man, and that man getting through. Like it, I mean, but now I think at the end of the day, we know it was drug induced and his adrenaline was going, and we had to get Teddy out of the building. And that, to me, was really heartbreaking to see him that way.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny and fun for a while, and then it did get, as a fan, just watching, you're like, oh, come on, it's just kind of, and part of you is like, Howard, don't you know what's going on? But it seemed like Howard really didn't know, or he found it funny, and that's the hardest part about all of it, I guess.
I don't know that it's looking back now, I can say that I saw all these things, or I knew what it was because now I know what it was. But back then, I don't really know that we all knew how bad it was. That boils down to. We knew there was something going on, but I don't think we knew the intensity of it.
Well, and that's what I can't remember who said it here, but they said, addicts know addicts, so they obviously know what's going on. Howard's not an addict, Fred's not, Robin. So none of you, all you people are like not really in the Artie Lange show business, drug, John Belushi world, so you would have no idea. You just think, oh, he must have had too many drinks last night, or maybe, yeah, I get it. So we hope he's doing well. I really do, and I hope to have him on here. Teddy, you mentioned it. Any contact with Teddy? Everyone asked me about that.
I haven't talked to Teddy in a while. Last I knew about Teddy, he and his wife they had like a sandwich truck, like a whatever they're called. I can't even think of the word right now. Then I think he opened a restaurant, but I think since then he's closed it. But don't quote me on that. But I don't really know where Teddy has gone. Yeah. I hope he's doing well, though, him and Poppy.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to name some names. You just say what you want to say, all right? Will Murray.
Who?
Will Murray.
Oh, I love Will. Will's a good guy.
Jason Kaplan.
Huh?
Jason Kaplan.
I saw recently on Twitter they had put a thing up of Jason. He looks phenomenal. And I love his wife and I love his pets. And I follow them on all social media. And he has the cutest blind beagle, which just melts my heart that he would do that because I have a handicapped dog too. Yeah, I don't really have anything. I don't think there's anyone that you could bring up that I would really have something nasty to say about.
Do you get the chance to talk to those people? I mean, do you keep in touch?
And really, when I found out that Will had and the family had gotten COVID, I did reach out to him and we talked a little bit. I talk to him every once in a while on social media. Last time I was in New York was before COVID, and I did get to see everyone. We all went out to our local pub, and there's a dog again. We had some drinks, we caught up, but because of COVID, I haven't been back up. I talk more to the wives, a lot of the wives. Like I still talk to Richard Christie's wife a lot. I talk to High Pitch Mike a lot. I talk to Jim McClure's wife a lot. Richie Wilson I talk to, and Rachel, and Rob Martin, and Jackie, who was Scott's intern, and they fell in love and got married and have a baby and are living a great life. Gary, every once in a while on social media, but it's weird. Like I'm just like I left and I left. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's funny that you said, because you left. I left, and I had a real hard time leaving the people. Like I didn't want to do the job anymore, but I really loved the people. There's probably five of them were in my wedding, so it's like they were my. I have these. My wife says you have to start deleting some friends. You have too many, and I'm like, no, that I have this part of my life. I have these people, and I have these people. So I keep in touch with them. I was curious too. So you talked about when you left, but a lot of people talk about that time being a weird time for the show because of kind of the change that was happening, and people have seen Howard's YouTube video that was leaked where he says, "I want A-listers," and MARCI comes in. Did you get a sense it was a weird time for the show? A weird feeling of change when you? Because it was kind of.
I mean, anyone who's going to tell you that it wasn't changing is full of shit. I mean, it was definitely changing, but I have to be honest, like, people can say what they want, and they could say, Howard's not the same, he's sold out, he's this, he's that. His interviews have never been better. His kindness, I think, comes through, and I think that people are seeing him for who he is as opposed to what they think he is. And was it weird for me at first? Yes. Do I think in the end game it was a benefit and the show sounds better than ever? Yeah, I do. I mean, people can think what they want. Oh, we're not playing anal ring toss. This stripper's not doing this and this one's not doing that. Well, there's more to life than strippers and anal ring toss. Like, I'm interested in what these people have to say. And like I said before, like he has a way of making people just open up and want to talk to him. So I think he's one of the best interviewers in the world. And anyone who says other is full of shit.
Totally well prepared. Was it tense around there though for everyone, including yourself? Because that's a weird, when something like that happens, you know, it's got to be tense and people are walking around scared about their jobs and everything. Well, how did you feel like a tenseness, and were you tense?
Listen, it was different. I mean, you know, one day I was in my own office. The next day I was in Gary's office. Like, I remember my best friends, I spent the weekend at my best friend's out on Long Island. And that Sunday she had, I don't know, a bridal shower or something. So I stayed at the house and I was babysitting her kids while she was gone. And her husband, I don't know, was playing golf or something. And I come back to the city the next day. I go to work. I'm sitting in my office. She calls me and she's like, my sister died last night. She had a stroke, massive stroke. She died. MARCI comes walking in the office. So you have to be out of here by Wednesday. And I'm literally sitting here talking about somebody who had been in my life for 20 years passing away. And MARCI's just like, you got to be out by Wednesday. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, it was weird. But I really don't have anything to say about MARCI. I really think at the end of the day, she's been more of a benefit than people give her credit for.
Yeah, I mean,